Good evening. My name is Cortez Yannie, and my country is Yemen. For background and history, Yemen is located in the southeast corner of Asia, home to 29.6 million citizens currently in conflict with Saudi Arabia. Yemen houses 929 primary healthcare units, 184 direct hospitals, 53 general hospitals, according to WHO. Although they have 929 primary health care units, the infrastructure for people to travel is very poor standards. This strain on the infrastructure for good roads and transportation has lacked due to the harsh conflict with Saudi Arabia. This fight has left the public with war-torn streets and a lack of funding. For main factors contributing to the problem, the main factors currently affecting the Yemen population is the war with Saudi Arabia, the lack of quality health facilities, the lack of transportation to facilities, and the main problem, the lack of immunization. Each one of these photos show a different picture showing the affliction. With the war on Yemen, you can see the destruction. With the lack of facilities, you can see how they have to transportate some of their resources, and sometimes they might not even have the proper care or even transportation to get resources there. You can see the lack of transportation with a young boy trying to go to school with his backpack with his father and mother leading him. And then you can see the lack of immunization with the kids piled up trying to get their tests, with the one kid's getting forcibly struggled with one. For the lack of immunization, before the ongoing conflict, the main problem with Yemen has been the lack of immunization within the youth and population. In 2014, infants younger than 1 year old for the following categories of Bacille, calamite, Gilran, diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus, oral polio, measles, hepatitis B vaccine never rose above 90% immunized within Yemen. This shows that health issues stem from a lack of immunization. One of the contributing factors to the lack of immunization in Yemen is the ongoing conflict between Yemen and Saudi Arabia. The war started in March 2015 and is an ongoing conflict. The war has taken over 233,000 lives with an estimated cost of $14 billion and over in US dollars. This war is draining the resources of the country and taking the citizens' lives as a direct result. Another contributing factor is the lack of facilities. Yemen struggles with a major problem of a lack of immunization within the country, which has a contributing factor of a lack of facilities for the Yemen citizens to use. Data indicated that no medical care was sought for 53% and 53% and 61% of the children under 5 years of age in Yemen, with respiratory symptoms and diarrhea respectively in 2008, according to Baumtroff. Healthcare facilities also deal with lack of proper storing systems, like for refrigerators, according to UNICEF. These contributing factors lead to damages towards the health of the nation. Another contributing factor is the lack of transportation. Yemen's infrastructure has taken a considerable hit, leaving many people with no means of reliable transportation. These conditions are happening while 40% of Yemen's population lives 2 hours away from a functional healthcare facility. Without the means of transportation, the distance from healthcare facilities has contributed to a lack of immunization. It has also contributed to people's choosing whether or not they would choose to immunize their children just due to distance. If people have to travel 2 hours just to get to the facility and the roads are bad and they could possibly be going through war-torn streets, it's not going to be an ideal situation for anybody in the country. So that's why this is a very bad feature and why they need the money to get these infrastructures fixed. Because in the previous photo, you could see the war-torn streets, the kid riding the donkey to school. You could see the infrastructure when the little kid was getting his immunization. A lot of the transportation isn't there, and the people need it. What is being done? The Yemen government has reached out to the United Nations for funding and humanitarian groups for direct care. The country has been depleted of many resources and outside help will be a significant factor in changing this. The Yemen government is feeling the danger of a lack of funding, resulting in a lack of immunization due to the ongoing conflict with Saudi Arabia. In order to combat their monetary problem, they have reached out to the United Nations for more funding. The United Nations has provided $237 million of aid, but they are struggling to provide more funds due to the ongoing conflict. They want Yemen to withdraw from the conflict in order to receive more aid so that they aren't fueling the conflict and allowing the conflict to go on by providing money to them. Because they are more of a humanitarian organization than they are supposed to be a war providing organization. Another contributing factor is to the lack of immunization is humanitarian groups that provide direct aid. Organizations like Save the Children, Doctors Without Borders, and the Rescue Committee have provided the direct aid needed to combat some of the dangers. Each organization provides a different type of aid, but helps combat the main issue of a lacking immunization. What needs to be done? Yemen needs to do a series of things in order to combat their main issue of a lack of immunization. The Yemen government needs to enter a ceasefire with Saudi Arabia, meaning they need to end the ongoing conflict with them and no longer have a direct impact on the health facilities and the infrastructure of the nation. If they aren't having a war, then the streets can't be war torn. They have to sooner or later be fixed. This is important because they also need funding from the United Nations and their backing. So without them withdrawing from the war, the United Nations will not provide that funding, and they might choose not to back Yemen any longer. They also need to provide education systems. They also need to improve the education systems so that the people know more about general health and health routines and how to find healthcare facilities near them and how to do at-home maintenance. Both of these would have considerable positive effects in combating the lack of immunization due to contributing factors of a lack of transportation, the ongoing war, and the lack of facilities which also may or may not have working refrigerators in order to store the things needed for doctors to provide.